All right. And I think everyone's got their binders in their transcripts in their binders. So you may begin. Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Would you please state and spell your name? Maurio Young, Maurioyoung. And Mr. Young, as the court reporter indicated, I ask for you to keep your voice up. You can either move the microphone back towards you or move your chair towards the microphone. Thank you. Sir, what city were you born in? Chicago. And what year were you born in? 1977. How old does that make you today? 43. Sir, what neighborhoods did you grow up in Chicago? The Austin neighborhood. The Austin neighborhood? Yes. And generally, where in Chicago is the Austin neighborhood? From just say Pulaski to Austin? Pulaski to Austin? Yeah. And is it on the west side of Chicago? Yes. And how long did you live in the Austin neighborhood? Majority of my life. Sir, were you ever a member of a gang? Yes. What gang were you a member of? The Unknown Vice Lords. You said the Unknown Vice Lords? Yes. When did you join the Unknown Vice Lords? Around 11 years old. You joined when you were about 11 years old, you said? Yes. Approximately what year would that have been? 88, 89. How did you come to join the Unknown Vice Lords at the age of 11 or 12? By hanging around the older guys that was members? Was there any sort of initiation to join the Unknowns in 88 or 89? Yes. What kind of initiation was that? You had to take an oath. An oath to what? To the Unknowns. Were the Unknowns a faction of a larger gang? Yes. What gang was that? The Vice Lords. Did the Unknowns control any territory on the west side of Chicago? Yes. What territory on the west side? It was multiple areas, ma'am. Where you lived near Pulaski, between Pulaski and Austin, what territories did the Unknowns control? A part of K-Town. Where's K-Town? From Pulaski to Cicero. And what does the K refer to? All the streets that begin in K. Can you give us some examples of some of those streets? Keeler, Karlov, Costner, Kilbourne, Kilpatrick. I'm sorry, you said Keeler, Karlov, Kilpatrick, Costner? Uh-huh. When you first joined the Unknowns, what did you do as a member? I was a lookout. You were a lookout, you said? Yes. What does that mean, to be a lookout? You look for the police or other members, different people coming through trying to harm the older guys. And where were you acting as a lookout? Outside? Inside? Outside. Outside where? On the corner. And why would you be looking out for the police or others who would harm the older guys? Because there were different activities going on that they did not want to get caught up in. There were different activities that they didn't want to be caught up in? Yes. What types of activities were those? Narcotic sales. Were you selling narcotics at that time? Yes. What types of narcotics were you selling when you first joined? $10 bags of cocaine. You said $10 bags of cocaine? Yes. Where were you selling $10 bags of cocaine? On Kilpatrick and Maple. Kilpatrick and Maple? Yes. And was that part of the unknown's territory? Yes. As you got older, did you continue to be lookout for the unknowns? Yes. Did you take on other responsibilities as you got older and stayed in the gang? Yes. What other sorts of responsibilities? I was the chief of the Pee-wees. You said chief of the Pee-wees? Yes. What does that mean? For the guys that are my age group, I was in control of them. And, sir, if I could ask you to just keep your voice up a little bit? Thank you. I was in control of the guys that was around my age group. What age group was that? From 13 and up. And so you were in charge of them? Yes. And did you go on to, when you were in charge of the 13 and 14-year-olds, in charge of the Pee-wees, you said, were you still selling narcotics? Yes. What were you selling then? I was dealing small amounts at that time. And what kind of narcotics were you selling? Cocaine and heroin. Were you still selling $10 bags? Yes. At some point, did you hold rank in the unknowns? Yes. And what was that? A 5-star universal. A 5-star universal? Yes. Was that a sort of chief? Yes. And about what year did you get the rank of 5-star universal? 95, 96. How old were you? Around 18. What did it mean to hold the rank of 5-star universal? You had more say-so over the area. And what did it mean to have say-so? You could control what's going on, tell people what to do and what not to do. What sort of things would you tell people to do? Who could sell drugs, who couldn't sell drugs? And what sorts of things did you tell people not to do? Who couldn't sell or not do different things? Were you still selling narcotics at this point when you were a 5-star universal? Yes. Were you still selling $10 bags? Yes. Were you selling larger quantities as well? Yes. What? Larger quantities of what? Cocaine and heroin. And this was in 95 or 96? Yes. How much cocaine were you selling in around that time period? From ounces to keys? You said ounces to keys? Yes. What's a key? 1,000 grams. 1,000 grams? Yes. Or a kilogram? Yes. And in 1995 or 96, how much did a kilogram of cocaine cost? 18 to 20,000. And you said you also sold heroin? Yes. How much heroin did you sell? From ounces to keys. So you sold ounces to kilograms of heroin? Yes. And when you said you sold kilograms of cocaine and kilograms of heroin, are we talking about 25 kilograms or 1 to 2 kilograms? 1 to 2 kilograms. And how much was a kilogram of heroin in 1995 or 96? Around 90,000. 90,000? Yeah. And who were you selling the cocaine and heroin to in around that time frame? Different groups in the neighborhoods. Were these groups other gangs? Yes. Sir, I'd like to talk about those other gangs, but I'll get to that in a moment. Sir, have you been convicted of any crimes before? Yes. State crimes, federal crimes, or both? Both. So let's start with your state convictions. Do you have 2 state convictions? Yes. And what are those 2 state convictions? A robbery and a drug charge? Let's talk about the robbery first. Was that in 1996? Yes. Were you convicted in 1999? Yes. And what was that robbery about? Some guys had stole a car from us and we found them and tried to take it back. And did you receive a prison sentence for that conviction? Yes. And what was that prison sentence? 4 years. You had a second conviction, state conviction, you said? Yes. And what conviction was that? A possession charge. Possession of what, sir? Cocaine. Was that in about 1998? Yes. And where were you arrested in the possession of cocaine? On Maple and Kilpatrick? Was that the area in which you sold cocaine? Yes. Is that what you were doing in 1998? Yes. In addition to being the corner at which you sold narcotics, did the corner of Maple and Kilpatrick have any significance to you? Yes. What was that significance? It's where I grew up at. It was where you grew up at? Yes. As a chief, did you control that area? Yes. And sir, did you receive a term of imprisonment for your conviction for the possession of cocaine? Yes. And what sentence did you receive? 4 years. And did you serve the 4 years for the robbery and the cocaine possession convictions together? Yes. Sir, you said that you were also convicted in federal court, correct? Yes. How many federal convictions do you have, sir? 2. And when was the first conviction? In 2003. And what was that conviction for? It was a possession of a gun and drug charge. You said possession of a gun and a drug charge? Yes. And what was the drug charge about? It was a heroin drug charge. A heroin drug charge? Yes. Were you charged with distributing heroin or possessing heroin? Distributing. Were you sentenced in that case? Yes. Did the government make a motion for you to receive a reduced sentence? Yes. Why did they do that? Because I cooperated with the government. And this was in 2003? Yes.